Hello and welcome once again. I am back today with two questions. Both of them are statistics probability related and they are from the quantitative methods study session. So let's take a look. So here we're given an investment's mean return and standard deviation, and we're asked about the probability of various ranges of returns. One of the essential items in your toolkit has to be this normal curve, and you need to be able to recall the 1 standard deviation and 2 standard deviation ranges. So 1 standard deviation sweeps roughly 68% of the area under the curve. 2 standard deviations covers 95% of the area. And what remains is 5% of the area of the curve, and that would give us 2.5% in each tail. Now we're given that the mean is 18%, which would be the center of the curve, and the standard deviation of returns is 10%. So the first option talks about the likelihood of a 28% return. Now 28 is 18 plus 10, which is obviously the mean plus 1 standard deviation. And if the return is going to be greater than 28%, we're talking about the area of the curve to the right of this point. Now, one way to find the area to the right of this point is to subtract from 100 the area to the left. So what we have to the right of our 1 standard deviation is 100 minus 50 minus 34, which is about 16%. So A is incorrect because it says that that area is more than 20%. Let's look at B. So 38 can be written as 18 plus 10 plus 10, which is obviously mean plus 2 standard deviations. So to the right of that point, as we've already discussed, is 2.5% of the area, which is obviously not less than 2%, so B is incorrect. And at this point, you can mark C as the correct answer and move on to the next question. For the purpose of this video, let's make sure C is in fact the correct answer. So 0 is 18 minus 1 standard deviation minus some fraction of 1 standard deviation. Now we know that the area to the left of 2 standard deviations is 2.5%, which means that the area to the left of the point corresponding to a 0% return is going to be greater than 2.5%. So C is in fact the correct answer. Let's take a look at the next question. Now this question has to do with coefficient of variation. Just as a quick recap, the coefficient of variation is the ratio of the standard deviation of a set of observations to their mean value. So in other words, we're measuring the amount of risk or standard deviation per unit of mean return. So let's compute the coefficient of variation for each of these investment options presented. And of course, the one with the lowest coefficient of variation will be our correct answer. So security A has a coefficient of variation of 1.21. Security B has a CV of 1.20. So it's relatively safer compared to A. And finally, C has the lowest at 1.18. So C is our correct answer. I hope you found those problems useful in your preparation. I'll see you again next time.